Recording. Oh wait, why is that frozen?
Went on OBS.
Yeah, OBS is frozen now.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is how you start it.
I'm just pressing record on everything. Fuck it. If it works,
5,
it
4,
works.
3, 2, 1.
Oh wait,
Ladies
what's on my stream key? You just go right ahead. Yep, we're recording. What's up,
Right on.
everyone?
I'm Muggsy. This is my man, John Chalbeck. John Lee Chalbeck. Great American, great boxer, great MMA fighter, great grappler, great all around technician in the world of contact sports.
Don't make
And
me blush.
and I'm Muggsy. I'm the guy that filmed all the crap he did over the years, as well as thousands of other athletes around the state and around the country. But we have combined our brains tonight to bring you the Realm Kings. And what we are doing is looking at the wrong camera. And what we're doing. Oh, goodness. Stop that. Okay. What we're doing is bringing you the mysteries of the universe, the mysteries of our realm, and whatever realm is are out there. And
Maybe we
our
gotta go
mission
through a
tonight.
portal to find one.
Been through a couple portals. I came back all right. But,
Yes, sir.
yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to explore the different intricacies of conspiracy theories and just regular theories, not even conspiracies. We're going to go back biblical, archaeological. We're going to research everything we can every week so that we can bring you the most defined truth that we know. But, I'll turn it over to my friend John Lee here.
Yeah,
He can
don't be
find him on
scared.
TikTok.
Don't be scared to look for the truth, man. Man, don't be scared to look for the truth, man. That's one thing that God put us here for, was to, find out our relationship with God. And, don't just take this person's word for it or this person's word for it. You go find your relationship with God. And what does that mean? Your relationship with the world, your relationship with nature. Find out for yourself. And yeah, so I'm happy to be here. And it's so interesting that we got together because now we're working together at the casino, which was I had nothing to do with that. I literally
Oh,
had nothing to do with that. You just showed up and I was like, bro, we're going to do our podcast. You're like, yeah, I'm working at the casino. I'm like, no shit. So I'm running the show. I'm doing my usual thing. And then it was great to see you. You know what I mean? And then it was just, to me, it was just like, that was another synchronicity, another sign that, we're on the right path of doing what we're supposed to do, what we're meant to do. And you
yeah,
know
we just fell together there.
yeah, oh, now there's an echo.
I hear it too. Wondering where
Hmm.
no,
It's all right.
I don't hear an echo.
Let's see here. So I'm live on total 8 views. Okay. So it's funny whenever I go live from the computer, it's like nobody's watching. But when I go live from my phone, a lot more people are watching. So that's interesting to me, right? That's interesting. Oh, he popped out. He popped back in. So are we gonna do multiple cam J tonight? Are you gonna be popping to the side and
Yeah,
pop?
not through your mic or not through your. Oh, can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. I'm just not showing up on my own. Now I am.
All right, so let's start off by talking about where in the hell do we hear this name Moloch? Where does this name come from? And it comes from the times of the Babylonians and the Sumerians and the Canaans. And in the Bible, I believe it's, let's see, can you look this up real quick? I think it's Leviticus 19:21. But I know you're better at this. You could just pop and look it up real quick and bring that up.
I guess it'll all depend on how my stream's hogging up my bandwidth. Leviticus 2021.
It's around there. But just put search for
Oh, jeez.
search for Molech, Molek, in the King James version.
So tell us about what I'm looking for while you're.
Okay. Um. Well, we're looking for where it is mentioned in the Bible, um, where it says, "Do not let your children be sacrificed to Moloch." And in my opinion, after all the research that I've done, all roads point to this entity as being the true Satan, the bad guy, even over Lucifer. If you want, pick whatever fallen angel you want, Asmodeus, the king of hell. I believe that, you know, Moloch tops, all of them. And
Okay, yeah, it says in Second Kings makes reference. Give me a hot second.
okay, so remind me, do I?
Get on.
All right, no. So people on live can see my. Oh, why did I? Why did we freeze again? This is stupid.
There we go. You hear an echo now?
Oh, I lost you. Unbelievable. No, I don't hear an echo.
Oh, I see us both on screens.
You still see?
Yep. Bear with us, people. We are getting things. So Second Kings 23:10, and he defileth helpeth, uh, which is in the valley of the children of Hinnom, that no man might make his son or his daughter to pass through the fire to Molech. And that makes that reference because that was how they sacrificed the children, was they actually inserted them into the belly of a effigy, a burning effigy of a bull, which was Molech. So you do not pass your children through the fire to Molech, is what they're saying. Leviticus 20, 20, 20 paragraph 4. And if the people of the land do anyways hide their eyes from man when he giveth of his seed unto Molech and kill him not. In other words, it's saying in general terminology, uh, oh, if they hide their eyes from man when he give the seed unto Molech. Oh, talking about turning your head against the atrocity of it. If you hide your eyes from man giving his seed to Moloch, giving his children to Molech, then you're just as guilty. You know, you should be fighting against it. That is what it's
Right, you
you
should
know,
be
and God
fighting
does
against
speak a
the
lot about
evil.
that in the Bible. I referenced. Oh yeah, yeah. You should not just be sitting idly by. You should have your sword in hand at all times, man. Wearing your armor of God. That's an actual reference for a reason. God wasn't just playing around when He made specific commandments to man.
Right, because this shit is real. This is what people don't understand is that this is reality. This is reality still, always. It has never changed, and you could say it's more prevalent than ever, just more unbelievable and under the radar than ever. And I think the ultimate goal is for these elite Malachian trust fund dorks to desensitize people so much that they bring this back. So let's see if we can play our first video. Um, okay. I think I lost Jay. Sorry, everyone. This is our first one that we've done. We're doing our best. And it's a lot of extra pressure to go live because, usually you can just edit. I mean, obviously the YouTube version. Let me see where this guy went to. Jay, where'd you go? We lost him. Where did he go? Where did he go? Is he gonna pop back in? I sure hope so. 'Cause we're live, baby. Now, any of the commenters, I think, I'd like to be going to a lot of different. Oh, I think, What's up, Derek Gates? So, all right, so I'll just get back to it on my end because I can see that you can see this and you can see that, right? So the people on my end can see what I can see. Jay just can't see it. All right, so here's a movie. Oh man, come on. Why am I frozen?
There he is.
There you are.
Hey, right on.
You're
While you were out, I was explaining to people about the just the intricacies of being aware that what we're going to be delving on here is how Malachian the Malachian religion, if you want to go as deep as say,
Yeah, that's what I
by
call
the
it.
by the elites. You know, the elites are the word elite itself comes from Elohim,
Right.
and it's you were if you were elite, you were actually a worshiper or a follower of the Elohim and what their teachings were. So what I was explaining to people was is that language and words are just as different and used differently against you, just so much as you would see in law. And the black law is a different law book than normal family law or corporate law. There's different terminology for everything, and terminology over the thousands of years of language being developed and how things have changed just within our two generations, John. How many different things and different ways do we look at, the way the kids talk nowadays compared to the way we talk, and the way we talk to the way our parents talk. They thought we were crazy using the word bad, like for good, saying, oh, that's bad, man. And, they thought that was ridiculous. They hated the word like we were always like this and like that. It's like, and they hated us for it. But now it's actually a regular part of society. The language changes on such a rapid rate that you can't look back in time and think that you're reading something that's written exactly the same way it's supposed to be construed today. and hopefully we can dive into the Malachi experience and kind of tear some of that apart for you guys so that you see the difference. And John put together a hell of a slideshow for that.
Yeah, so while you were over here being live on your end, I was also live on my end because I was trying to figure out what happened to you. So, oh, and he's gone again. Oh, and there he is. And so, what I was, kind of pulling up was this. I got this picture with the Moloch movie. So go ahead and pull up that picture on your end. And it's the movie Moloch. And it's a picture of the bull, his bull symbol. Um, Now I got this right in between our faces right here. And it's got this little symbol in the middle of its forehead. But to me, this is a perfect example of revelation of method, which is the number one requirement of these Malachian trust fund dorks. Now, study, if you study this, you realize that these elite trust fund dorks, create psychopaths with their own children to keep this cycle going, right? So, I don't really want to get too like chaotic on um, how they do it to themselves, but there's a few couple interviews that people should listen to. One is this lady called Savali, and she was an elite. She was a billionaire's daughter, and what they did was they locked her in a room for 5 days and they wouldn't give her any water and give her any food. And she's pretty much on death's doorstep on the last day. It's the fifth day. She's, 5, 6 years old. I'm listening to the interview. And she says that her mom comes in and keeps drinking the water in front of her, breaking her little heart, like she's in despair. And then, right when she gave up, that's when the butler comes in and saves her. And he gives her the water. And so they create
Hmm.
these relationships amongst, certain parts of their family. But needless to say, what happens is that these elites go through a certain type of indoctrination themselves. We're all being indoctrinated with fake news and fake, info and words that are used against us. I mean, you were just talking about the word elite comes from Elohim. Well, who takes part in the elections? It's the elite. Who's in charge of the electricity? It's the elite. So yes, all these words are purposely, you have to look into the etymology of all these words to start understanding how they're used against us and how they're sometimes used in a way that you can't even comprehend until you start really digging deep. And so here's just a movie. Moloch is in this movie, so if we can get rid of this, this is just part of what they do. They put it in a movie, they have to tell you what they're gonna do. They put it in a book, they have to tell you what they're gonna do. They put it in a news, or let's say they put it on a product. It could be anything, but to them, they rationalize it as they told you what they were going to do. And the karma is off of them because they believe that in reincarnation, they believe that they're coming back to this realm over and over and over again, and they stay in the same family. So they try to keep the karma off of them as much as possible. And they rationalize this revelation of method as the number one rule that they have to do to keep these entities off their back and whatever realm, insert XYZ, place, hell, the afterlife, whatever, wherever you want to go with it, it doesn't really matter, you know,
Right?
no one knows. No one's been there, and if they have and they've come back, then, we have to take their word for it, you know. I haven't died and come back to life, so I have no clue, right? I know that a guy that we're going to have on, shout out to Juan on Juan podcast. He said that his dad died. He tells the story all the time. His dad died 4 times on the table. He's like, so you died. What happened? What'd you see? He's like, nothing, nothing. And then you have all these stories of all these people that left their body and came back. Maybe he hadn't made the transition yet, but who knows? But they said he flatlined 4 times and he didn't remember anything. And then I've studied, countless, afterlife stories of people that said something completely different and they all match up. So, it is really interesting once you start, digging deep into this whole thing. Everything starts connecting. And let's pull up this Moloch cartoon, which is a black and white drawing. And it shows the ritual that you spoke of. I'm putting this right in the middle between our heads, and it shows Moloch as kind of a bowl looking thing. There's a fire. All these people are kind of bowing, and they're handing the baby off to the Moloch statue, which is going to go into the fire. Now, let's talk about Moloch's so called wife for a second, and that is Ishtar. Right? Now, who is Ishtar? Well, interestingly enough, Ishtar you see every day when you go to the Starbucks. Yep, here you go. Here's the Starbucks picture I'm bringing up for everyone to see. And this is Ishtar. And I'm going to pull up a couple different pictures of Ishtar so people can see what's going on here. Yep, you can see the similarities. Now, some people might say this is a stretch, right? But you can go on and on with these ancient statues of Ishtar. And a lot of them look a lot like this Starbucks logo. So, to me, it just serves as revelation of method. I mean, they have the gate of Ishtar in Hollywood, this huge gate dedicated to what? Ishtar, right in Hollywood. You can Google it right now. Look at it. It's crazy. Bring it up for everyone to see, and people that are watching, look at the arch or the gate of Ishtar or something in Hollywood. It's crazy. Now, what is Ishtar all about? Well, Ishtar is the wife of Moloch. If entities are married, these two are a pair. And what happens is that the people would have a orgy. All these people would have an orgy in the temple of Ishtar, and they would, this is where Easter eggs, this is where the Easter egg thing comes from. And the Easter eggs symbolize the babies. And so they purposely make all these babies in this orgy to 9 months later sacrifice to Moloch in this type of. Here you go. Here's another one. I pulled up another black and white drawing. And so here you go. Do you have the black and white
What
drawing of
was that? Oh,
let me see if I'll let me see if I could share the screen real quick with you on like we did that one time. Oh, you're gone. He left. I'm gonna see if I can share the screen on window. No. Oh, I wish I was more tech savvy, ladies and gentlemen. But we're getting there. We're getting better. All right, so this picture of Moloch here. Let's make it bigger. I hope people can see it. and this is where the fire would be, and the underneath you can see the star, six-sided star right there.
Giving me
And you have
flashbacks.
all these people gathered round here, and they are paying homage to this motherfucker that just eats babies up every 9 months as much as possible. And it's in the Bible, it's in every religious text. It's across the board. Okay? Think about Zeus. Let's go to Greek for a second. We'll go to Greece. Okay, Zeus. Who was Zeus's dad? Kronos. Kronos. And Kronos ate all of his kids. How did how
I'm
did
here.
how did Zeus survive? Sorry, every time you leave, I lose my train of thought. But
I'm sorry, man. I'm just getting all
how
this.
did Zeus survive? Because Rhea, his mom, or is it Rhea or Gaia? It's one of the two. It's one of those two. Hit him and fed Kronos' stone. So they're telling you child sacrifice right there, right? It's across the board, all civilizations. All civilizations. In Canaan, it was Baal. And this is the same guy, just different name, right? So, and obviously, theologians are going to argue about this stuff. And, this is what I see. Looking at it from somebody with an open mind that just is like a detective and studies everything, just like he studies fighting, just like he studies. When I went to the University of Michigan, I was studying to be a lawyer, and I decided to turn pro and get back into fighting, which was my original dream, which was my original calling, and I decided to do that. But whatever I do it with an open mind, and I stay the course, and I make sure that I'm as efficient as possible with my time and my energy. And look, I only speak about things that I know. Like, I only speak about things that I know, or that I've at least researched enough to say, hey, this is what I think. These are what the alternatives could be. But I think all of these civilizations are just talking about fallen angels. I think they're all talking fallen angels, all their gods, all their different forms of gods are all different names for these fallen angels. And that they're all talking about the same flood, and all the child sacrifice rituals are all the same, just different names in different places, right? So, to me, when you start looking into this shit, and, real quick, while we're talking about Ishtar, what is one of the things that Ishtar can do? Do you remember that video, Jay?
Yeah, you're talking about like gifts it can give,
What is one of
like
the powers that
blessings
Ishtar
or
has? One of the powers that Ishtar has. Do you remember that? One of the powers that this, and this is just repeating what a professor of this religion was talking about, but to paraphrase, is that Ishtar has the power to turn men into women and women into men, right?
okay, yeah, I
And
think
so
I watched that a while back.
what is being pushed really hard right now. But remember, this wasn't always being pushed so hard. At one point, it was just a joke. And let me take you to a time when it was just a joke, right? So I'm pulling up this picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he in 1984 he was the biggest action hero in the entire world. Ripped, six pack, shredded, right? That's his 1984, The Destroyer, right? I got him right up here. The Destroyer. Man, I loved those movies. I grew up watching those movies with my dad. I absolutely loved them. And then in 1994, which was just a quirky comedy. No one took it serious. It wasn't a freaking social movement. It wasn't anything like that. It was the first pregnant man that gave birth to a baby on cinema. And who was that? Well, let's do a little a humiliation ritual for the biggest action hero of the 1980s. And we'll turn him into a man that gives birth, that literally gives birth in cinema. And so, from The Destroyer to Pregnant Man, 1984 and 1994, right? So, and who else has done these type of rituals? The Rock, dressed up with a little tutu, you know, all sorts of these type of like
Jim
humiliation
Carrey, yeah.
rituals. And yeah, you could make an argument. Well, if all of these all of these religions are these Malachian religions are really prevalent in today's society still underneath everyone's nose, and the elite are the hidden information that they keep from us. We get the exoteric. We get what they put to the outside. But the esoteric, that's for them, right? And so if this esoteric Ishtar is still wielding power, well, this is early evidence of that transition, which was just slowly but surely, let's make a comedy about it before we make it so mainstream and shove it down your throat and start letting your kids, go to the doctor and get a surgery without your permission and to tell them that that's okay and convince them that that's the right thing to do. That's what some of these motherfucking doctors and these, people, I'm just going to say, that follow this narrative are doing, right? So, I'll just get off my soapbox for a second and, I'll get rid of that picture. Jay, I mean, what do you want to add to this? I can talk about, I got a lot of knowledge about Moloch and Ishtar, and, here's what I think. Let me just play a little Joey Diaz for everyone.
Because you don't need 20 friends. You just need three motherfuckers and you can take over a country. Okay, that's what we're confused as Americans. We think we need all these motherfuckers. You give me three bad motherfuckers and you're finished. You understand me? Because you don't need 20 friends. You just need three motherfuckers and you can take over
Yeah,
a
and
country.
so I just wanted to play that, and so I consider you one of those bad motherfuckers that, we can take over, everything and start, getting people to realize how special they are, how much God loves them, and they don't need to live in fear, and all this fake news and all this bullshit that the government puts out when they're the ones causing the problem just so that they can sell you the fucking solution. Let me tell you,
Right.
if they really cared about you, insulin would be free, not giving you a gift card to go get a vaccine. Insulin would be free, right? If they really fucking cared about you, right? So go ahead, Jay. I'm just gonna, before I get too crazy, I
Oh, you're okay.
mean,
What I follow with what's going on, the way I look at it is that there was and is and probably will be for a very long time a cult of sacrifice. Uh, However you're going to look at it, whatever different sects of society you look at, there is some sort of sacrifice that has to be given in order for the success to happen, or the or the gifts to be given, or the blessings to be had. And it started, I mean, the Bible again. We'll go back to the Bible. Simple for everybody to understand. Everybody knows that you had to be, if you were going to sacrifice to the Lord Yahweh, and you were going to be sacrificing a pure lamb, a pure dove, uh, whatever you did sacrifice had to be of top notch. It had to be the perfect sacrifice, and then you would get your blessings. You would get your fields full of grain. You would get all of this. Well, all that's really gone, but a lot of cultures are still, and I'm just going to say the elite cultures are still practicing a lot of dark magic. Who was it? I was reading that one of the queens had a real wizard that worked for. Elizabeth, not Elizabeth.
Yeah,
Who
it's
was that?
John D. John D
And
is the
she
one
had a
that,
wizard.
yeah, it's John D.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
he
so
did a bunch of reading, and like I was talking about the way language is built, he did a bunch of reading and figuring out. Went through the Vatican's, and I always tell things in a really like simple, like the simplest way I can. But he went through the Vatican's books and figured out what all the circles and what all the emblems meant, and how to actually conjure spirits, demons, whatever you want to call them, and they brought that into the governmental culture. So
yeah,
now you've got government entities throughout the world starting to practice just absolute Satanism, and they know that these spirits are, they want something. They got to have something in order to give them something. So I think in America that's really when the transition to open abortion kicked in. And I'm just to be honest, man. Everybody's got their opinion. I'm anti-abortion. I don't think it's necessary unless you're gonna absolutely die from having a baby, or and the doctor signs off on that and says this woman will die if she has a baby. As a matter of fact, we need to remove her ovaries and everything, so this never is a burden on her again, and so that way she won't ever have to have an abortion, and then possibly for incest and rape, but I believe that if it's incest, then somebody's got to be going to jail. You're not just getting an abortion and I don't care that I'm going off on this, but if you want to say that your uncle raped you, then I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to put your uncle on the stand. You're gonna have to follow through. It's not just well, we're gonna take care of this in the family. Well, then I guess you're not getting an abortion, are you? Because there needs to be laws against killing other human beings. And and the idea behind the abortion feels empowering to women. And I'm not trying to tell any of you how to feel, but I guarantee after an abortion you feel a lot less of a human being. And the reason is you just sacrificed another human being, and you lose a piece of your soul, just like Harry Potter, and having to cut the Horcruxes up, or actually it was Voldemort had to cut the Horcruxes up, and each time he did it, it removed a piece of his soul, a piece of who he was, and that's what happens, and why these spirits, the demons, the entities, the Ishtars, the Moloch that love the idea of sacrificing children. That's how he feeds his ego, his entity, and for countries just to throw abandon aside and say, yeah, go for it. And then those demons get inside of people's heads saying, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You're all right to do it. And y'all can think about it however you want. But there's a good angel and a bad angel on your shoulders. I don't care how you want to look at it. There's good conscience and bad conscience. And if you're always giving in to the bad conscience, then you're slowly eating away at your soul. You're not feeding yourself anything good. And so we'll circle right back. This is how the government figured out how to use these entities against us, to drive us into depravity, to make us feel less of humans because of what we sacrifice for jerking off to porn, or abortions, or too much alcohol in our lives, and we're just ignoring everything, or even, hey, the things you think are good, the drive to work, the drive to succeed, the drive to really make something of yourself. What you didn't realize is that your little kid there just absolutely don't know who the hell his dad is. He just missed out on about 5-10 years of life with dad because dad was so nose to the grindstone trying to succeed for his family for some reason, and in the whole process absolutely abandons his family, and which breeds more demons to come into their lives because the guidance isn't there. I mean, it's just a huge circle. It's a huge wrapped up. You know,
it's
pastor could
it's a
be
soul
preaching
trap.
it on the pulpit right now, but it is how it's it is the golden word of 2022, 2023. It is systemic. It is systemic demonism going on throughout the governments and the higher end of society in America and in India. Oh, look at Bollywood, man. Bollywood's going crazy. But look at what they're giving into. All of a sudden, these second and third world countries are giving into the luxuries and joys of what us Americans have always enjoyed. And it's bringing absolute catastrophe to their country. You know, and I'm not talking about the difference between communism and free market or capitalism. I think capitalism is wonderful, when done properly, I guess you could say. But whatever, capitalism's awesome. Everybody wants to make money, but what are you willing to sacrifice to make that money? God said there you can only serve one God, and so you know, just telling you flat out that really means you can only serve one master. You can't be a slave to many masters. You'll be overworked and underpaid. No matter what, you'll lose.
In my
You're the one
opinion,
that will suffer.
money is just a Babylonian money magic system to get us to harvest our energy for the elite. You know, they don't even use money. They barter, they trade, they do favors for each other. Like they create this money for us to keep us, to the grindstone, to keep us making this thing, keep us obsessed with this thing so that nobody finds their true spirituality, nobody's jumping rope, nobody's hitting the bag, no one's running. They're keeping people, trying to keep people as distracted, as dumbed down as possible, so they can't truly figure out what superpower they might actually have. I mean, I think the Avengers movies are trying to tell you something. I think movies like that are. I think it all serves as revelation of method at some point because you start studying, superhumans, and there's a guy that did you know there's a guy that ate an entire airplane?
Yeah, yeah. He could eat. That guy could eat anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he could fucking eat anything. There's a guy with a head who's it's so thick that he lets people break cinder blocks on the top of his fucking head because he's got extra thick
Right.
skull. There's a guy named Spider Man who literally climbs walls. He's just like shit sticks to him. So, I do think that these superpowers, do exist within all of us, and we all have, you know, these psychic abilities, and I think all this is what they study. This is what they study. Here, let me go to this. I'm gonna go to this image of um, the elite school. And I'm bringing up, look, I have a picture here, and it's a stack of books. Now, Sivali, that lady I was talking about who went through the ritual, what she ended up becoming was a professor at an elite billionaire school. And what are they teaching, right? They're teaching this. They're teaching mass ritual. They're teaching the ether, the atmospheric energy that's free, that's there. Go wrap a copper wire around a couple magnets, solder it to a light bulb housing, screw in a light bulb, see what happens. You won't have it plugged into anything. Guess what? If you rig something big to your whole house with that, the feds will come down and they'll break down your fucking door because everyone has to pay a bill. Nobody gets free energy, right?
Right.
So mass ritual, the ether, revelation of method, occult magic, mind control, Moloch and Ishtar, Thelema. This is all the stuff that they learn in school. Meanwhile, they're giving us this fake info. It's the exoteric. Meanwhile, they're studying reality. They're studying reality, they're studying entities, they're studying other realms, and this is why it's the rules for thee and not for me. That's why there were so many videos of all the governor and all of his flunkies all eating with no masks on while everyone else's business got shut down because it's rules for thee and not for me. It's called herd immunity for a reason because we are a herd to the elite. We are a herd, and they treat us like cattle. And if you think that your best interests are at their priority, you need to wake the fuck up. You need to wake the fuck up right now. Please, for your children, for your neighbor, for your mom, For me, for Jay. Wake up. Do a little do a little bit of research and start studying reality and not just what people who are running the show give you to look at. You have the Library of Alexandria. You have the Library of Alexandria and maybe more right in your fucking hand. Learn how to use it. Stop scrolling. Nobody's ever going to regret not scrolling one more time. You're not going to
let
be
me
in.
let me let me indulge more on that very subject, okay? Because I've got an issue, and what that is that I used to get questioned in private messages all the time. People would constantly, write me and say, "Hey Muggs, can you find this video? Hey Muggs, do you know where this is? Hey Muggs." And then I found, let me Google that for you, which is a extension on Google that allows you to put in your search term, and it's literally called "Let me Google that for you." So I would put in the search term, and it would pull it up, and then it would automatically create a link that I would send to the person. And when they clicked the link, it would show up with a big sign that said, "Oh, let me Google that for you." And it really rings true, man. It was created for a reason. The reason I told you that little story was it was created for a reason because people nowadays seem like they're afraid to Google, like they're afraid to just use their thumbs to, type out what they're looking for on this massively, insanely powerful device. We'll go back to the differences between 1969 space flights to the moon, apparently, and what you hold in the palm of your hand now. It's insane what you guys have at your fingertips, but people refuse to learn unless someone's willing to tell them. And guys, we're I'm not doing this to chastise any of you listening or watching. You're definitely among the smart ones because you clicked on in the first place. And so you want to figure out some sort of truth. You want to hear it from people that are just like you. You want to hear it from people that have researched like you, but you got to go out and look for things yourself. There, I literally can use my phone right now to find out anything I want. Now, the problem is it true or not? Well,
Yeah.
just like voting for a president, you got to use your best conscious effort. You you got to take the time to read through what you and try to sift through some bullshit because there's a lot of bullshit.
And
But
that
the
could be
great thing about conspiracy theories, go ahead.
and that could be a complete that and a couple of things that you mentioned could be complete fake bullshit that we just go through because they've created for us as something to keep us busy. Meanwhile, they already know who the president's going to be. That could be happening, or maybe elections matter. We don't really know, but we still participate, right? Money, in my opinion, is some fake ass bullshit. But you know what? I still needed to pay rent. I still need it for day to day in this system that we have to live in that they've created for us because we can't just go live off Robinson Crusoe and on the island and live that way right now. Just most people cannot do that, right? So we have to find a way to live within this system and still be our spiritual selves. Like, stop drinking, stop watching TV. Uh oh, I can hear myself. Let me say one thing though, real quick, Jay,
Yeah, you're
about
breaking up a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, in case the government is scrambling our signal, he said, stop sitting around watching TV. TV's ridiculous now anyway. There's nothing good to watch. Oh,
yeah, it's probably some
I'm
revelation
going
of
to show
method.
you guys.
So you keep popping in and out of like,
I want to show them this video.
are you showing it on? What are you showing it
Go
on?
ahead.
What are you showing it on?
Oh, did you? I was. I'm using Facebook Messenger, and I'm just pulling up the images that you're looking at that you gave me before to watch. And apparently, it's just too much of a strain on my internet because I notice I'm glitching in and out a lot on the
Yeah,
phone.
so that's what's
But
happening is like you keep popping in
yeah,
and out of the conversation, and it's just better if you stay in here. I'm live on TikTok and Facebook. I wanted to go on YouTube, but
Right on. Hey, everybody.
I didn't have time. I didn't have time to. But yeah, everyone can see my picture. They can see you perfectly. I assume they can hear you because I can hear you perfect. Um, so I only pray. I'm sure somebody would have said something. Maybe we should check the feed real quick and see if anyone's in the live chat. Oh, there's I think so I only pray. I'm sure somebody would have said something. Maybe we should check the feed. Will you talk, Jay? And see if anyone's in the live chat.
Oh yeah, sure. I love talking.
So I only pray. I'm sure somebody would have said something. Maybe we should check the feed. Will you talk, Jay? And see if anyone's There's a delay.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, good. So everyone on my Facebook can hear you fine.
Right on. Yeah, a little bit of a delay there. I'm recording our end anyway, and so maybe we can back each other up a bit. So that's no big deal. Anyways, the point of the story tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we want you to realize that they're throwing a crap load of symbols, of words. And John, I want you to take over on this part of the
In a second, ladies and gentlemen, he'll let me know.
Especially that little clip you did on Saturn last night.
That little clip that I did on Saturn, did I put that in here?
I know it's in your it was in your messenger. I was watching it earlier, and I was getting ready to let it play right now to my recording. Anyways, but and then of course all the Star of David symbologies.
I want to make sure that
the shapes
name is Roy.
Constantly be used in everything around us, and are just. I mean, yeah, you could argue that geometrical shapes are a natural occurrence.
I want to make sure that
especially for man, for what
name is Roy.
And so when we come up with shapes in our head, we tend to always shoot for these stars and different things that fancy us. But why are they stuck in our head so hard? Why are they so easy for us to pull up? And why were these shapes taught to us into our genetic code?
Well, they say water has memory even.
Well, how much of we're what? 98% water, something like that, 75% water.
Yeah, so I mean, think about what the scientists have been saying lately. Recently, they came out, and the scientists who want to say, trust the science, trust us, we are God, we say everything, even though it changes all the time. They said that consciousness came first, not matter. They literally just came out and said that they proved that they can prove that consciousness comes before the body. They're literally telling you. They admit it. They admit the shit. They tell you. And then they go back to their, oh, you're just dust in the wind, but you only live once, blah, 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 all this bullshit, right? But they sometimes they give you a little splinter of the truth. You just have to be paying attention. And most people are not paying attention. They're so busy working 9 to 5. They come home. She has to cook dinner for, he or she has to cook dinner for the family, for themselves, try to go to the gym. Everyone's just trying to maintain maintenance in this Babylonian money management system. Now, Saturn, so where, maybe I didn't put that one in. That's going to bug me. But here, I think I can add it. That's what I can do because I'm in control of this.
Oh, I gotta keep that on.
Video. So let's go to downloads, and then that's this one right here. Was it? You want to know who the real bad guy is? Not the devil, not Satan.
It was the one where you were
Saturn.
About Saturn.
Moloch. And I'm right in the middle. My head's right in the middle of the statue's crotch. Kronos. You want to know who the real bad guy is? Not the devil, not Satan. Saturn, Moloch, Baal, Atat, Kronos. You want to know who the real bad guy is? Not the devil.
Can you hear
not
that?
Satan. Saturn. Moloch. Baal. Atat. Kronos. You want to know who the real bad guy is? Not the devil.
So in
not
my opinion,
Satan.
the devil, this concept
Saturn.
of the devil is
Moloch.
is just a distraction.
Baal.
It's a distraction to keep people from really looking into the real religion that the elite follow, and that's this Molochian child sacrifice religion. And this ties into this adrenochrome video. So before I play this, let's play the Ted Gunderson video, Jay, which is Ted Gunderson was in charge of the FBI, and he wrote a book, and he came out and said all this shit, and guess what? They killed him. The elite killed him, right? It's obviously that he was killed. He started speaking up against, and I think what happens is that some of these people don't know what's going on, and then they find out, or they start wanting to save their soul. They start wanting to save their soul, and then they go turncoat, but since they're part of the group, you're going to get clipped every time. So I'm going to play this Gunderson video, everyone.
Oklahoma City bombing case, huge cover-up. Jack Kennedy's assassination, huge cover-up. Bobby Kennedy's assassination, huge cover-up. World Trade Center, huge cover-up. Okay, terrorism. They're using it as an excuse to take away our constitutional rights and our civil liberties. The Illuminati, Bilderberg, New World Order, globalists are the element behind this. It dovetails into the satanic movement, and this movement has infiltrated into our intelligence community, the once great FBI and the CIA. The Oklahoma City bombing case.
So, we lost Jay there for a second. Let me see if I can find him. Lost him. Well, hopefully he'll pop back up. But, yeah, that was Ted Gunderson. And he was in charge of the FBI. And he was the one that first started talking about chemtrails, the finders, which was it's a child trafficking system, ring, whatever you want to call it. And he wrote this book, The 200-Year Plan. Right? This book right here if you want to go buy it. I say go buy it. What's the worst that could happen? You're going to learn something. You're going to read something. And you're going to learn something. And you might actually enjoy it. You might be entertained. At the very least, are you not looking to be entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you were here? Love that movie. I'm sure there's a bunch of symbolism in that movie if I rewatch it. Now remember, everyone, words are spells. They are literally spells. Bruce Lee said it. That's why he said never talk negative about yourself, even in a joke. Because words carry so much power. Words carry so much power. And did you know that abracadabra is actually really a magical word, magic with a K? That's Aleister Crowley's word. And who's Aleister Crowley? He's the main trust fund dork that the people today studied and idolized. And who did he study? John Dee. It all goes back to John Dee, this governmental magician
that Queen Elizabeth had that brought forth this Enochian magic. This Enochian magic that John Dee had conjured up, and like Jay said earlier, he had studied the symbols, he had studied the signs, the symbols, the shapes, and he contacted these entities, and they told him things that became the esoteric, that became what these elites worship.
Yeah, and he started teaching everybody this, and that's that.
And Aleister Crowley was a huge. They all studied this John Dee guy and this Enochian magic. And why is it called Enochian magic? Because Enoch walked with God. He went with the angels. The giants and the angels talked to the great scribe. That's Enoch, the great grandfather of Noah, right? So, this everything all ties. Everything ties in to these ancient practices. And remember, you're taught the exoteric, and they live in the esoteric. And it's our job to bring the esoteric to light. And that's what the Great Awakening is all about. But what is the elite pushing? They're pushing this great reset, this transhumanism. They're going to tell you, oh, you can live forever by turning into a cyborg. No, you're already going to live forever. You're already going to live forever. Energy is not destroyed nor created. It is just transferred. They're telling you. Right. They're telling you what your soul's going to do. It's going to go somewhere. Your energy's going to go somewhere. But then they're going to turn around. So they just want you so confused. You don't know whether you're coming or going. You don't know whether it's a direct energy weapon or a hurricane. You don't know whether it's this or that. They want these two people fighting when really they believe the same thing. They believe in one God, but they want them fighting, right? So
you can find this sign right here on that list of symbolism.
Do you know anything about that one?
My Sunoco sign?
Yeah, can you I don't know anything about Sunoco, so maybe you could just tell me.
Well, I remember seeing it on a thing, on a whole chart of different signs, and I know that the sun part, the Sunoco, but the arrow is what has to do with something. I don't know.
You should look into it now that you brought it up.
Yeah.
You said that you could give at least like a 5-minute speech on it. My goodness. So while you were
I just took the thing from a job I had. It was the whole sign. It was both sides. And the other guy I was working with, we were like, all right, let's split it in two. And you take one and I'll take one. That way they're wall hangers, But this was actually 50 foot in the air, man. This was or probably about 20, but
the fish keeps getting bigger every time, as the great muskie that nobody ever saw before. So while you were gone, I showed the Gunderson book, I showed the Gunderson video, I showed the magic spell book, how it talked about how even Bruce Lee said, spells. Words are magic, they're spells. Don't even never talk negative about yourself, even as a joke, because words carry so much power. And right. So I showed a few that. So let's.
Well, do you know how you remember a lot of things from when you were young, right? My sister actually would practice witchcraft. And so that stuff was in my house when I was a kid. I was 5 years younger than her. But she had one witchcraft book that was all verbal spells. And one of them was, this is no kidding, it was called The Touch of Lust. And you actually had to be touching the person that you were doing the enchantment on. And I remember it word for word to this day. And I was only like 9, 10 years old back then.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not going to repeat it, but
when you're a kid, you remember so much, and there's just, and at the same time you forget so much until sometimes something brings back some sort of trauma, and then you remember an entire storyline that you hadn't thought about for freaking 3 decades. You know what I mean? So the mind is such a powerful thing, and these people are experts in controlling the mind and shattering the mind and splintering the mind and creating two uh, dissociative, alter egos within, certain people. They create these psychopaths, and they become two people. And so let's switch gears a little bit. Let's turn to the Canaanite version of Moloch, which is Baal. Baal. Baal, right? Or sometimes Beal. Now, this demon is featured in the movie The Rite, right? I always take note in what demons are in these exorcist movies. They always have to tell me your name, demon. Tell me, you have to tell. That's always, even in the most recent one, The Exorcist, or the Pope's Exorcist. You know, his name in that one is Asmodeus, the king of hell. But that's always the key. They have to get you to tell them the name, and so I always pay attention to what names they're saying, right? And so in the movie The Rite with Anthony Hopkins, who's the main, exorcist, he's the one that actually gets taken over. Spoiler alert. And it's Baal, right? So in that movie The Rite, Baal shows his face in Anthony Hopkins. And so, where else have we seen a little bit of
was he a
Baal?
was he a was he kind of a long snouted, horned?
Nope, nope. It was Anthony Hopkins' face, and he kind of looked like how the Emperor in Star Wars, his face would become like aged and veiny, and it looked like he was
Oh yeah,
just possessed by a demon, right? Yeah, he just looked like he was possessed by a demon, and he'd be like floating and shit. So where else have we seen Ball in some of the entertainment? And look up the word entertainment, what that means. Yeah, it's a little bit more mind control for you, little sheeple out there. Oh, sorry for the people that are awake, because that's the only people that are watching this show. Um, so here, Ball. Oh, where have we seen this? Here is The Simpsons. They're always telling you what's going on. Uh, they've been using The Simpsons as a predictive programming for a very long time. The Simpsons aren't psychic. They just know how they're gonna set up the chessboard. And so I'm showing this picture of The Simpsons, who are
that's a
saying
correlation.
saying per ball, Baal. So here's them showing you a little bit of ball, right? That's The
So, but,
Simpsons.
but you're supposed to, but John, we as Americans are supposed to believe that Matt Groening is like just this cool, normal guy that came up with a funny ass cartoon, man.
Exactly. And for the longest time, we all did. And this is the hard thing for everyone to kind of grasp, Jay, is that your dad was tricked, your grandpa was tricked, they were tricked before them. They were all tricked. Even when they were saying work was a lot harder, and these kids don't know how to work today. Everyone's being tricked on different levels. In the 1950s, right? If nuclear bombs do exist in the way they tell us, right? They had all these people build bomb shelters on their own dimes, knowing that they would all just still be incinerated, but they wouldn't have to bury the bodies. That's your grandpa's grandpa was tricked, right? So listen, this goes way back, man. It goes way back. Don't feel bad because you were tricked. Don't feel bad because your dad was tricked. You know what I mean? My dad was a complete space cadet. My grandpa had astronauts over to the house, and I think they're just really bad actors now. And as a kid, we worship these guys, and I don't believe a word they say. Now, look, we're not going down that rabbit hole tonight. We can have a debate about that another night. Right now, we're stuck on ball. And what's the next slide for ball? Well, think about words. What are words? Well, words are these ways that they trick us, that they control us. And they believe that if we're uttering certain words, we are invoking their entities. We are invoking their gods, right? And so, what is one of the most mainstream sports that you can think of that incorporates certain entities' names? Well, think about
Oh,
it. It's any
everything
sport.
is
It's every fucking sport. Because look, they all end in a ball. They all end in a ball. Right? Baseball. Let's just read this right here. Baseball is an occult Masonic ritual where even most of the players aren't even aware of their actual role in the ritual itself. Nor does the unaware audience of the masses watching the game ritual from home are aware at the stadium. The field is all about the Masonic geometry that is based on the principle of six that represents the ego, and the game is entirely based upon the number three that represents Satanic Trinity of Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz. Right? So, look, now maybe people are going to argue about that, right? That's fine. Just look into it. See if you can connect some dots yourself, right? I'm not telling you to
look at the
believe.
way look at the way those sports. All you got to do is go back in history about 1,000 years, maybe 1,500 years, and the way that those sports were not entirely the same kind of sport, but the first iterations of those sports were bloody sacrificial. Uh, you know, I'm trying to use a big word, but they were just bloody sacrificial freaking spectation sports that the main public would come watch these athletes actually put their lives on the line to appease everyone, and every one of them was doing it for their god. And I'm talking South American sports, and I'm talking the original Olympics. The original Olympics was a bloody gory event, man. Like it wasn't. They 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 brought that around to be a lot different, but used the symbolism to help carry on the spirit of what it was meant to be. You know.
Yeah, sorry, somebody on TikTok was saying can't really hear you, so I was just trying to troubleshoot that. Just go ahead and continue.
Hear you or hear me?
Hear someone. I'm trying to figure it out. So
Oh. Well, I switched over straight to my phone because I just wasn't putting up with my laptop anymore. I'll try to move
okay,
this a little.
gotcha.
Oh, that's not a good clip spot. Playing around with my new it's like a clamp.
Here I'm gonna try something different too since I'm not. Yeah, I'm gonna close out TikTok. Right. All right, I'm gonna close it out and then I'm just gonna turn on my phone TikTok live.
Yeah, you gotta take care of your TikTok people, man.
Well, yeah. So yeah, so far this is going pretty good. You know, I wish that we could see the comments or any chats like up without us having to get off of here. So here's something that's
I
interesting.
want to make sure that you said
and I'm gonna
adrenochrome.
play this.
Yeah.
And a lot of people here. There's about 4,500 people here. There's
Yep.
About 500,000 people streaming online.
This is the
We're having some
adrenochrome
cyber attacks.
video.
That feed's been going on and off. But you said that word, and by a
Yep.
show of hands, who's heard that word before in this building? Could you please explain
You
to the
can hear
extent
this
that you
now,
want
right?
to or not want to what that is? Because some people have never heard that before, and we need to discuss that.
Essentially, you have adrenaline in your body. I'll just simplify it. And when you are scared, you produce adrenaline. If you're an athlete, you get in the fourth quarter, you have adrenaline that comes out of you. If a child knows he's going to die, his body will secrete this adrenaline. And they have a lot of terms that they use that he takes me through. But it's the worst horror I've ever seen, is screaming alone, even if I never, ever saw it. It's beyond, and these people that do it, there'll be no mercy for.
There will be no mercy for them. You motherfuckers. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean that's reality, man. That's reality. It's still going on. These people are still doing it, and don't think for a second that um, that it's just some ancient thing. That, oh, that's back in the day. Everything's ruled by science now. No, that's just what they want you to believe. Do I believe in the scientific method? Yes. Observe, test, hypothesize, procedure, all of that shit, protocol, right? Jot down your statistics, right? That is science. If you listen to 1,000 people talk about how they died and came back to life, right? And they're all telling the same story. Well, that's statistics and that's science. That's math, right? They all got the same story, right? So,
Yeah, science is supposed to be a consensus of ideas and repeated methods that show a specific result over and over again and can be proven. And yeah, man, there's just too many similarities. And man, what you talked about the adrenaline, and then you played that video, and then
it's hard. It's hard to watch, right? It's tough.
it reminds me of the first time I watched Jones's video on the Bohemian Grove people, and they were standing around the statue of Moloch, in the owl form, and then all of a sudden, you've got some pretty high end people going to this thing, and you've got a lot of them. There's like 200 people there. They're all there to hang out for a weekend and get away from the stresses of, as far as we know, why would they all go be together? To hear the most god awful screaming you've ever heard in your life, like someone was being tortured, and it just blew my mind that's what they were sitting around and just all watching together in unity and in the same like mind, and for some reason that was a cool thing to them. And it just made me realize the type of people that are out there in the world, the cruel son of a bitches that just don't give a fuck. They really, for everybody watching, I mean, the best lesson you can teach any of your children and all your friends is that most people don't give a fuck. They don't want you to know the truth. They'll gaslight you into a deep dark hole. They'll rip away everything you are just to make themselves better. And this happens on the highest scales and the lowest scales, because everyone's influenced by the power of Moloch and the promise of greater things if you can just do all these little tricks and these ways to. What we're doing right now is the transition from what TV programming was and what mankind can put out there on his own. But at the same time, are we seeking fame? Are we seeking money to do this? Or are we doing this to end up on, Joe Rogan someday? If it happens, that's awesome. But I did podcasting for 6 years and never made a dime on the damn thing. I mean, a little bit of sponsor money, but that was about it.
For me, it's totally spiritual. It's God he wants me to help wake people up. Straight up.
Yeah.
He wants me to help wake people up to, not only his existence, but to the reality of this world and in this realm, whatever it is. Pick your shape, pick your form, it doesn't really matter. We live in a haunted house, and it's run by sorcerers. We live in a haunted house that's run by sorcerers.
My phone's shutting down. I'm losing power all over the place. We had a power outage.
All right, Jay. Well, hey, thanks so much for tuning in. We're at an hour and 20 minutes. I'll finish this one up if you got to get going, but if he pops back in, that's good. Now, let's see here. We've gone over the Moloch movie. We've looked at the Moloch cartoon. And look, this is all the real deal. Oh, sorry everyone. So I was on the TikTok on my phone now. I was talking to my co-host Jay, and we were trying to go live. People said that they couldn't really hear it live through the computer, so I just decided to go through my phone. We're trying to troubleshoot. We're figuring out as we go. Um, but this is our new show. We teamed up. We both have our own shows, but we teamed up, and we're here to wake people the fuck up to this reality. Um, so here's a little bit of Moloch, a little bit of Moloch, and I could even probably get off of the Riverside part of it and probably just get rid of this window capture. Go right here. Go to video capture device, add droid cam, or can I not do it? Oh, I guess not. Oh, how stupid. Okay. So that was the Moloch drawing. Now, one of my favorite all-time photos right here is when Alex Jones snuck into Bohemian Grove and took this picture. Now, obviously, I made this meme. I inserted all of these little quotes here. Let's see here. We got your big picture of the owl. The Moloch owl. Now, sometimes Moloch is an owl, sometimes Moloch is a bull. There's definitely, I think the bull is the main part of it, and then the owl is a different part of it. But you saw in the Ishtar, look, there's a little owl right here. Right, so there's definitely something going on with the owl and the bull. And look at the rocks. What is the rocks logo? Is a bull, right? And that's going to tie into this video that I'm going to play of The Rock, of his little skit that was on Saturday Night Live of him making jokes about child molestation. And I don't know why he would think that was funny. Now, I was a fan of The Rock before I literally saw that. And, sometimes you like to think that some of these big stars made it on their own without having to be initiated. But I can promise you, they all been initiated. They've all been initiated. And so let's read some of these little quotes I made here. It's like, Hail Moloch. And then you got, Buzz Aldrin's right here. He's like, hey, where's Elon? And then the Clintons. Even Joe Biden still thinks we landed on the moon and NASA is real. Ha ha ha. Gates, he's putting his hands up. He's like, give me the power. And then you got, hey Fauci, trust the science. That is a good one. Like they're giving Fauci his props, right? Trust the science. That's a good one. So yeah, that's a little meme I made. Just added a little bit of stuff over the picture that Alex Jones took. Now, let's see here. The Elite School, the Moloch statue, the Moloch video.
My name is Roy, and
okay, so here's this video by The Rock that I'm going to play. That really disturbs me, right? And I'll even put my headphones up close to the phone here on TikTok so that people can hear it.
My name is Roy, and and for the most evil invention in the world contest, I invented a child molesting robot. I call it. My name is Roy, and and for the most evil invention in the world contest, I invented a child molesting robot. I call it Robo Chomo.
How do you even build a child molesting robot?
Well, that's a great question. What you do is you start by building a regular robot, then you molest it and hope that it continues the cycle. I eat children. How old are you?
12.
12. Oh, okay. Only to 10.
Only
Okay,
to
that's
10.
good.
We'll see.
That's good.
Children and pineapple. My name is Roy, and and for the most evil invention in the world contest, I invented a child molesting.
Okay, so in my opinion, when they do stuff like that, what are they doing? They are trying to make that normal. They're trying to normalize molestation, make it a joke. Make it a joke. I can promise you, any kid or adult who was molested as a kid that saw that video didn't think it was fucking funny. It's just a joke, yeah. Oh, I'm, insert XYZ how I'm acting, but I don't think that's fucking funny, man. I don't think jokes about child molestation is fucking funny. I don't like it. I don't think it's a joke. Don't make those type of jokes around me because I won't laugh. And in fact, I'll start to question not only your integrity, but your lifestyle. And I probably will say, I don't want you around me if those are the type of jokes that you're making. Yep, they have to show you what they do. Exactly, Squatch Emmett, Squatch Mama. That's right. They have to show you. Absolutely. That's the main, and where do we see that? Oh, we see it right here. I'm posting this picture again of the Illuminati subjects. The Illuminati subjects. Mass ritual, the ether, revelation of method. Right there. Boom. Occult magic, mind control, Moloch and Ishtar, and Thelema. Very simple. And I encourage everyone to go listen to the Savali. See if you can find it on Reddit. It'll be hard to find, but you can find it. I listened to it. And another good interview is, oh God, what is her name? Something Griggs, and her husband was George Griggs, and he was the elite assassin. He was, stationed in Lebanon, and they were doing wet ops, and he would come home and tell her a bunch of the crazy shit that they were doing, and she started a whole bunch of problems for the military and the elite that were in the military, and changed a bunch of stuff, and it actually tied in to my grandpa and my grandma, an argument my grandma and grandpa were having one time, because my grandpa was the lead test pilot for the entire Navy for one point, and he was, he was into some of this crazy shit. He had to be, because otherwise he wouldn't have become the top test pilot in the Navy. They wouldn't have let him, right? So, and I remember it was something that happened at the officers club, and this Kate Griggs lady, she had a lot to do with shutting down the officers club. And she would come in her house after her husband went missing, and all the knives would be out on the table and out of the drawers, and they were really fucking with her, But you can look up her interview. I watched the whole 7-hour thing a couple years ago, and you can tell when someone's lying. As a fighter, I know when someone's hurt. I know when they're lying. as a coach, I know when they're bullshitting. You tend to start to read people. And this lady didn't look at her notes one time. She's just answering questions in the interview, and she was completely honest. She was telling the truth, and this shit really is going on at all facets of society. And sometimes it's right up under your nose. And yeah, it's the rules for thee and not for me that are going to make you put in a mask. They're going to make you shut down your business. Meanwhile, they're going to keep making their money. They're going to keep doing their rituals. Okay, so we've got... Alright, so we got a little bit of Saturn worship here. And this is, as you can see, a bunch of the mainstream logos. As you remember and are reminded that Saturn is the Roman version of Moloch and Baal. Kronos is the Greek version. And so you see how they've incorporated this Saturn worship into everything and all of their symbols. NASA, Nike, and some of them may be a stretch, right? But even Universal, which, remember, that came out in 1929. How did they, if they took the first picture of the Earth in the 60s, how did they know it looked like this exactly? Pretty interesting. Bullshitters. Yeah, oh, look, this one's pretty obvious. And now it's one of the older ones. Yeah, so it goes on and on. Some of them I can't really see. Like, this one's kind of weird. Some of them are kind of a stretch, and that's okay. The Space Force one is definitely one. And if you look at the Chandrahar, is that the Indians that supposedly just landed on the moon? There's a little bit of Saturn worship too, so that they always got to put it in there. Okay, the black cube of Saturn. Now, before anyone's religious beliefs get really triggered, remember, we're just having conversation here. And, we're looking at evidence. And the black cube of Saturn is a pretty interesting thing. It seems to incorporate itself into every, main religious establishment somehow. So, it's pretty interesting when you start looking at it. Now, here we go. I'm going to show this picture of these diapers. Now, on here, and I actually made this TikTok video that got about 1 million views. And it was someone sent me a text. And like, dude, I saw you're in this news article. I'm like, oh, really? That's funny. And it was just, my video. It was just a picture of my face in the video they put. And it's like, this guy's hurting Huggies or something. I don't know. But they had two main, theorists on there. And I was one of them. And my video had the most views on there. So pretty interesting, and I'm glad, because these, if you look at the FBI website, these are declassified underground pedo symbols, no matter how you want to break it, right? Facts don't care about your feelings. And if I could fight a bunch of people for charity, it would be this group right here. This group of dorks. Let's go over them for a second. Everyone knows this bitch. Hillary Clinton. Yes. And did you know that her father was the one that took over for Al Capone when he died or went to jail? Obviously he died in jail, I think, but I'm not sure exactly when he took over. But go ahead, look into it. Then you got John D. Rockefeller, the most pasty, evil piece of shit ever. Here's his grandson or his son right here. We've got Aleister Crowley. One rumor is that it's Barbara Bush's dad, and that's why the Bushes are so obsessed with him. But regardless, they have these huge, parties where they're passing each other's wives around. So, whether or not it's believable that this guy was, but he's passing around because he was really big into sex magic, along with this guy right here, who is Jack Parsons. And Jack Parsons is the precursor to NASA, right? This guy's doing all these rituals in the desert. They're even making shows about him. He has a show coming out, I think, on Netflix. But yeah, they're telling you that this guy and pretty much everyone that has a hand in creating these really high tech, there's an occult history to these technologies. There's an occult history to these technologies. And Jack Parsons, blew himself up doing one of these rituals. Now, sure, they're going to change the story around and make it seem like, oh, he was messing around with the wrong kind of chemistry. No, he was doing a ritual just like him and L. Ron Hubbard were doing in the desert, the Babylonian working ritual. The Babylonian working ritual is the name of it. Look it up. Look it up. And who's L. Ron Hubbard? That's right, the creator of Scientology. Everyone knows this, dork. This is Bill Gates trying to depopulate the entire Earth. No, I'm sorry, just 4 billion. He wants to keep 4 billion slaves. And then we got our best buddies right here, Werner von Braun, who was the guy in charge of NASA, right underneath his precursor, Jack Parsons, the Rocket Man. And of course, Walt Disney, the elite propagandist magician who hated kids and has the most magical place on Earth, was best friends with Werner von Braun, and they worked together making movies and space stuff and, everything that you believe, whether it's a movie, whether you think it's real in space, comes from these two guys right here. And then last but not least, everyone knows Poppy Bush, in charge of the CIA. His dad was in charge of the Federal Reserve. And and the torch was passed. Another thelemic piece of shit. Don't get triggered. Alright. And so I think that's everything. Moloch movie, Moloch cartoon, Moloch drawing, Trust Fund Dork Weekend, Ishtar, the Lion and the Owl, Starbucks, put those right next to each other again, Junior, Saturn Worship, Elite Subjects, Moloch statue. This is the statue that it's either at the Colosseum or at the Vatican, but why? Why is this still here? Why is this still here? This picture of Moloch. Why is it still there? I mean, the history is clear as day what this stands for. Why wouldn't you destroy that? No, you want to destroy these generals from the Civil War. You want to destroy these other, narrative causing civil unrest type statues to put up all these demonic statues. Obviously, this is an old one. It stayed. But they're putting up new ones and they're tearing down, American statues to put up demonic statues, right? So, in my opinion, this is them trying to create the new Babylon. Moloch video.
And it's Roy.
That was The Rock.
I want to make sure that
That was adrenochrome, the symbols, the Babylon Bunch, the Simpsons ball, baseball. Oh, this is interesting. Um, and you're always trying to make connections, but you know, I'm not quite sure if this face was on PBS back in the day or if they just had this logo. But it is pretty interesting how the NPC meme that has become so popular looks a lot like the public broadcast service where they're trying to give you all your education. So, yeah, that's a little interesting tidbit. Spells. Remember, never talk bad about yourself because words are so powerful. That's Bruce Lee himself. The 200-Year Plan by Ted Gunderson. Check it out. Former FBI agent. This is just a picture of an alchemist turning, and this is from a AI generator. Let me just put this in the middle. This is how this AI generator works. I put in old man alchemist turning lead into gold. Or you put in old man alchemist creating a homunculus or something. It doesn't matter, but it knows exactly what, you know why? Because AI uses real information that's out there. So you want to know what a homunculus is? Pop it into your AI art generator. It'll create it. And you'll be like, what the fuck is this? Just a reminder, Joey Diaz.
Because you don't need 20 friends. You just need 3 motherfuckers and you can take over a country. Okay, that's what we're confused as Americans. We think we need all these motherfuckers. You give me 3 bad motherfuckers and you're finished. You understand me? Because you don't need 20 friends. You just need 3 motherfuckers and you can take over a country.
Finished.
Okay, that's what we're confused as Americans. We think we need all these motherfuckers. You give me...
Alright, and then we got... Oh, look at this picture. No, I wish Jay was here for this picture, but... Let's go over this picture for a second. Here's a bunch of Joe Biden pictures side by side. Now, this one's kind of scary at the top. This is the Joe Biden I remember. This guy doesn't even look like the new Joe Biden, nor the old Joe Biden. He just looks like weird. Here's the Joe Biden I remember. And here is this guy that's there now. Maybe it's a facelift. Maybe it's just age. These definitely look like 2 different guys. And yeah. Pretty interesting. It's all interesting, right? I love these type of conversations. Here's another picture of Ishtar. With the owl feet, the owl wings, the Starbucks type. You want to know who the real bad guy? Alright, so that's that. So, yeah, in closing, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. And I am really sorry about any type of troubleshooting as we are starting to figure out all of this. Streaming and recording and editing. There's gonna be trial and error. But the main part is that we stay the course. And we don't give up. Because if we did, we never would have been broadcasting, these thoughts. And what does that mean when you're broadcasting your thoughts? Well, that is alchemy. That is alchemy, because if you affect someone else, you're affecting reality. And you're transforming reality. And that in itself is alchemy. It's not just turning lead into gold. It's a bunch of things. And I suggest people start looking into it. Transform yourself. Pull your energy out of this system as much as possible. Sure, you have to make money. But are you training? How do you spend your time? Because you can always make more of this Babylonian money, this money magic. But you'll never make more time in this body. Whether there's another round to go or what, who knows? But you're never going to make more time in this body. So use it wisely. Be efficient. Do what you love to do as much as possible. Spend time with those you love as much as possible. And look, you're not going to save anyone. They have to save themselves. But you can try. That's what we're doing. So God bless. Love you all. Take care. And as my dad would always say, stay the course. Stay the course, John. And I love you forever.